Evelynroze, and welcome to the lyrical breakdown of my song Flame. So to celebrate the 1 month of the first half of my debut album, Trials of the Flame, Rise of the Sun, being out, I put up a poll and I asked y'all what you wanted me to do, and the highest vote was for a lyrical breakdown. And then I put up a poll of which song, and Flame tied with Picture Frames and Flames. And eventually I'll probably do all of them, but we're gonna start with Flame today. Again, I just want to say a huge thank you. I'm still at a loss of words and completely blown away by the response to this song. You know, it's been very emotional. I'm sitting here like, that's not real, that didn't happen. Like, imposter syndrome. I basically had posted this like random TikTok slideshow video where I used this song, and the next day I woke up and it was like 120,000. I think it's at like 140 right now. And I started to see people were like using the song to tell their own stories and their experiences, you know, growing up and having their futures doubted as well. And like, I'm still at a loss of words. Like, if you could tell like 16-year-old me that, she'd be like, that's bullshit. So today we're not only going to be talking about the lyrics, we're going to be talking about the writing process behind it too. We're going to start with the lyrical breakdown, so here we go. Flame is overall a song about reclaiming your spark after being doubted, after going through heavy adversity. You know, it's about, you know, resilience at the end of the day. One thing I always say is the beautiful thing about music is your brain is automatically going to kind of like resonate the lyrics with something that you've personally experienced in your life. And, you know, you could be listening to a song and you're like, damn, this hits. And then you go look up the meaning and you're like, that is not what I thought it was about. So this is more of my personal take on my song. I wrote this song specifically to be the intro track for the album because it really kind of explains my personal backstory and why I wrote the album in the first place. You know, as a lot of you may know, I grew up that like weird kid that nobody ever wanted to hang out with. I got left out at my own birthday parties. Yeah. And, you know, having an IEP, there's definitely stigma around IEPs. Like, those kids are less capable. Those kids are incompetent. You know, let's defund special education because those kids are least likely to contribute to society. You know, when you have that on you at a young age, it can mess with your self-worth. And then from that, you know, being bullied about my singing and just being overlooked and underestimated my entire life, which I know millions of other kids out there go through the exact same thing. I always say my story is not unique. It's just not talked about a lot because it gets silenced. Alright, so let's get into the lyric breakdown. We're going to start with the choruses. Yeah, my light was dull, got pulled into the game of twist and turn. The line, yeah, my light was dulled, is kind of reflective on when I initially had my light dull, when I was initially questioning my self-worth as a kid. Pulled into their game of twist and tame. I used the word twist because people were always just trying to twist what I did. There are a lot of rumors always spread about me. And tame, not only because it rhymes with flame, but tame is another word for control. And at the end of the day, bullying is someone feeling powerless about themselves. They want to try and control another person's self-worth to, you know, feel better about themselves. Now we're going to go to verse 1. Ashes from the past linger in my head. This is actually a line I came up with years ago. It just kind of like came to me and I didn't really know where to put it. And I looked back in like my Google Docs of lyrics and my books and whatnot, and I had seen that. I'm like, this would be perfect for this song. And what that line kind of means is like a part of what hurt you always kind of lingers there in your head. And going on to the next line, jay into what they thought and said. Sometimes you find yourself still being controlled by their words. And that's kind of referring to a little part of you still being kind of stuck. And I lost my spark, searched for a new start, found gasoline within the dark, relit the candle of my heart. What that's basically talking about is self-love. Like, self-love is a key step to healing. Sometimes you just can't wait for the light at the end of the tunnel or some saving grace. You have to learn how to reignite your own spark and light that candle in your heart back up. Verse 2. Put themselves up in a glass tower. You know, we've all heard the saying, mean people put themselves up on pedestals. And like we were saying earlier, you know, bullying stems from sometimes how somebody was raised, but also a deep sense of insecurity or a deep feeling of powerlessness in some other aspect of their lives. And, you know, making jabs at someone, attempting to control their self-worth, how they see themselves, make them question themselves, is satisfying to somebody who is seeking that power and control. And the reason I said glass tower is because a lot of the time these people are projecting and, you know, don't throw stones at a glass house, you know. And they'll reach for your heart, get into your head, but in the end your light will leave them burn instead. Like I said, they want to mess with your self-worth, they want to get into your head, but at the end of the day, your light will leave you burn instead. Karma sucks. The alternate chorus, there's a part where I go, they tried and just got burned. It's just like, they tried to put out my flame, at the end of the day, they just get burned. Again, karma sucks. Not to go into another song, but like I said in Echoes, what you put out will come back to you. Like, it does. It does. Don't complain about your life not going how you want it when you look back at your past and all you've done is hurt people and do horrible things. Alright, now into the songwriting process. So, fun fact about a lot of my songs is that they're usually more than one song that I've written that I've kind of just merged together. So, a bit about the chord progression for this song. I'm playing it now kind of like the basic way on the recording. I recorded it with different chord shapes, and that progression was actually from an old demo that I wrote when I was like 17. I never really released it, and I was like, you know what? I love that progression so much, I'm gonna use it in this song. For most of my songs, I write the chord progression, I compose, I write the structure, and I'll take the chords and I'll give them to, in this song's case, Reed. He wrote an awesome riff off of it, and then of course our amazing producer, Carter Sanders, you know, enhanced it. This song really came together at like 3 in the morning at the recording studio at our school. Me reading Chris, I was just playing it for them, I was telling them what I wanted it to sound like, and you know, we got it down. So actually, that synth part in the beginning that's over the piano, that really wasn't supposed to be there. It was like the last second of like post-production. I was like, this sounds kind of too empty, let's put a synth over it. So, but anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I'm definitely gonna get down to doing the breakdown for picture frames next, and probably all the other songs too. So, yay, flame.